Well, good morning. How are you all today? I hope you're fine. I'm channeling my mother today, so I'm having my coffee, my dose coffee, in a teacup today, and it's her china. So here's to you, Mother. She passed away 21 years ago, but she's still in my heart and always will be. So I'm back here, and this is week 39. 13 weeks left in the whole year. And I have been MIA, missing in action. Rick was operated on September 5th, and he got out of the hospital September 14th. And so today is the 28th, so it marks 2 weeks that he's been out of the hospital and pretty much attached to my hip. For those of you who don't know, he had a major stomach operation. 4 organs were either partially removed or completely removed. Stomach, gallbladder, duodenum, which is your small intestines, and and the pancreas. The pancreas was the problem. And so it was precancerous, and they were able to remove the questionable area, everything sewn back together. He has a sizable scar. If you give him a dime, he'll show you a scar. No, just kidding. And so yesterday morning was his first morning where he drove the car a short distance. He takes marvelous pictures for any of you on Facebook. If you go to Rick Helbling is Old Guy Walking, and he takes marvelous sunrise pictures, clouds, and it's just lovely. It's just lovely. And normally he was spending close to 3 hours, and yesterday he made it for about an hour and a half. He has a walker that he could push up to where he wanted, and then it has a seat, so he was able to sit. Like I said, this was a real kick in the pants for a guy who walks maybe 25,000 steps a day. He's still getting in 7,000-8,000 just being around the house, but that walking, I asked him how he felt this morning, and he said, my butt muscles actually hurt, and calf muscles. So anyway, that's his update. He's progressing well, having a little trouble with his diabetes, trying to keep it under control because your pancreas is what dictates how much sugar is actually going into your bloodstream, at certain levels. So if they've removed part of it, then you don't have that regulator. So he's having to rely on insulin more than he ever was before. So we're working with that trauma and drama. Why are we here? Why am I here? A few years ago, I decided to challenge myself and say that I would recycle 1,000 pounds of garbage, not recyclables, but garbage that we either throw down the drain or throw in the trash, or maybe, paper-wise, maybe put out for recycling. Excuse me. The air was lumpy. And I was able to get to 2,000, pretty close. The following year I thought, oh, I bet I could do 2,000. And I got just over 2,000. So this year I decided 2,000 is really about my limit. Unless I start going up and down the streets and begging for and going through people's trash, which I'm not going to do. I think we all have our own responsibility. You have those people who just take on more and more and more. I'm to a point in my life where I don't think I have that much energy to do the big show. But in my own little way, I want to show people that even at 75, I can still do my part. Now, my part is certainly more than most people do. I watch my neighbors. Oh, I can't be bothered with that. Oh, is that what you do? You know, and so I do what I can. I can't judge anybody else. I can only show you what I'm doing. And so I wanted to go over real quick with those of you who might be new on all the things that I do save. I save my fruit and vegetable peels and eggshells. These are my eggshells. I usually grind them into a fine powder. Shrimp shells are wonderful. Shrimp shells have chitin in them, and that's, you know, bone building. Chitin is excellent for your soil. Coffee grounds. We go through, because we make a pot and a half at least, those coffee grounds with the filter weigh right around 8 ounces. And that's even like the next day after they've lost a lot of their moisture. So imagine 365 days a year, you've got what, 187 and a half or something close to that maybe. My leaves. I used to rake up my leaves and put them in the trash for the trash men, and I think, well, why don't I rake up my leaves and have a compost pile? Now, people may disagree and say, oh, I don't want that in my yard. Sometimes if you just get an extra trash bin that you're going to designate as your leaf mold composter, you can just take your leaves and keep packing them in there and packing them in there. I've done it with holes in the bottom, and I've done it without holes in the bottom. And without holes in the bottom, I do go in and stir it a bit. But with holes in the bottom, I just, you know, add a little water if they're dry. If they're wet, then, you know, they drain out. And at the end of the year, it keeps compressing. And at the end of the year, it looks almost like this. It looks like it's leaf mold. And I've just laid that on around my plants, and it really, it holds back weeds, and it really enriches the soil. It makes your soil grow. Leaves, I have moringa plants back there with their stems. I put those in. Flowers, I used to throw my flowers away. If you're somebody who brings flowers home from the grocery store even, chop them up and add it to your soil. If you don't want to do that, take them and add, put some water on them. You know, let them sit for a couple days, and the nutrients that are still in the leaves will be leached out, and then you can use that water to water your house plants or your other plants. Your paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, any of your cardboard, things like this that we go, oh, that's so hard. That's not gonna work. Boy, if you wet this down, it's amazing how things seem so sturdy, but when you add water to it, this is nothing more than paper pulp. And once you add water to it and let it sit, it just rips apart. And if you add that to your worm bin or to your compost, it will disintegrate very quickly. You can see I have shred over here. This shred is my newspapers. When we get anything, tell me you don't get stuff from if you have stock, your stockbroker, newspaper without the envelopes, take those off. Your newspaper itself, can be used. Either shred it, which if you have a shredder, I find newspaper really kind of gets mucked up in there. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take the newspaper and actually lay that several layers thick around my plants. And then I put grass clippings on top of it, and it's like it melts, you know. And that's the other thing then, grass clippings. If you save your grass clippings to go out on the landscape day that all your landscape trash goes out, save it, put it around your area. It breaks down very quickly and it becomes soil. And why would you throw away soil? We do our vacuum cleaner, things that we sweep up that we used to put into the trash, we now put it either in our worm bin or in our compost, your dryer lint, if you have cotton clothing, any of your stale cereal, crackers, cork, popsicle sticks, cork from your wine bottles. All these things are basically something that you can add back into your soil. And really, when we look at dry soil, and I think of people looking at places that are so parched and have very little rain fall, I think over the decades and over the centuries, they've just worked the soil so much or let the animals run over the soil so much that it has dried. But if they could enrich their soil and designate areas for animals to keep certain areas that they just keep mounding humus on top, they could bring their soil back. That's my small mind. A few other little tips. Pantry. Old flour, old crackers, old cereal, any of that can go back into your soil. If you have, we save our bags. We save, you know, this is really high tech, huh? It's a clothespin. But we save our bags like this because it kept the cereal fresh. And then what I do is if I have anything that's kind of smelly, that I think I'm not going to put that in the trash bin, you know, bones, chicken bones, any of that kind of stuff. If you're going to use it for your bone broth, that's one thing. But even after that, when you've used it, if you're going to throw it away, you know, fat, any of that kind of stuff, put it in a empty plastic bag that you're going to save. And then on garbage day, you can put that out. That way you're not stinking up everything, you know, in the neighborhood. So I try to think of these things. So I don't know, you tell me. Oh, one other thing. My friend Sandra over at Nana's Worms and Garden, she turned me on to the tip that if you use canned vegetables, two things. One, save the wrapper. The wrapper is recyclable. It will break down. The other thing is if you, especially if it's low sodium, but I think for the amount of sodium that's in these, the liquid that is in there, you can add that. I add it to my sprinkling can, but you can add it, for me, I also add it to my worm bin because it has a little, especially the corn has a little bit of sugar to it, and worms love sugar. So on and on. We've covered everything, why we're doing it. We're doing it for many reasons. One, it's my small stamp on trying to help the world. If I could turn 5 people on and they could turn 5 people on and they could turn, you know, we could snowball it. I mean, before the 70s, nobody thought about recycling. They just did it because they didn't have things. I have a lot of older people who follow my channel, and we all talk about the idea that, well, gee, you know, we grew up where we we didn't have that. So you just automatically reused something. You stitched your socks. You didn't just throw it away. You stitched a shirt. Yeah, the old expression, a stitch in time saves nine, means that when you saw it and had a little bitty hole, you real quick took care of that, because if you didn't, it got worse. So since the 70s, and we see more people in a throwaway world where we can get cheap imports. I won't mention any countries, but we get cheap imports. And we say, oh, I'd have to have the stuff to fix it with, and oh, I'd have to do this, and then I have, oh my, it's just easier for me to throw it away and get something new. Well, I think we need to turn that back, dial it down a little, as they say now. So anyway, how did I do? Okay, well, you'll laugh, because the week before Rick went in, our friend Brian, who was cutting his grass, hadn't cut it for a bit, and so he cut his grass. We had moringa trees that I had been trimming, and Rick put them through the chipper shredder that we borrowed from our friend Brian. He always says, I'm not using it, please use it. And I ended up getting 27 pounds of moringa chips that I used. I laid all around. And Brian was so good, he had 51 pounds of grass. So that week, I did over 90 pounds. The following week was, to me, hell week, and I have glaucoma, so I don't drive to the hospital, which was on the other side of town over in Orlando, and so I had to take a Lyft back and forth. I don't know if they have Lyft all around the world, but it's like an Uber, and it was an hour each way, and then I'd spend the day with him, and I would come home, and I was too tired to do anything but grab a snack, have a glass of wine, go to bed. The next morning, I'd have my mushroom coffee. I'd have a small cup of coffee, a hard-boiled egg and a little bit of yogurt and fruit for breakfast, and I was gone. And so, and at the hospital, I took a half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with me so that I could be at the alert for Rick and take care of him. I was his nurse. I washed him, I cleaned him, fed him, didn't feed him, fluffed him. I've seen every part of his body, intimately. Anyway, so that week, I got 9.5 ounces, a little more than half a pound. That threw me off my momentum. The following week, Rick came home that Sunday, but again, I just was with him. I was the nurse tending him at home and trying to get him up on his feet, and let's go out for, a 10-minute walk down the street and back, and trying to keep, and that was last week, and I got 6 pounds. I thought, wow, I'm really falling off my, my momentum here. So this week, thank goodness, Brian hadn't cut his grass. We saw him and he said, oh, I'm saving it for you. I thought he was kidding. He wasn't. He left it in my path. I couldn't pull my car in. I had to stop and then drag the bags. And he had 66 and a half pounds, bless his heart. And he brought me some cardboard, and I have to admit, I had shred and stuff cardboard to shred, but I never took the time to do it. So I had a bit. So, drum roll, excuse me, I ended up getting 87 pounds I just rounded it up. I there was a fraction of an ounce, but so anyway, week 30, after week 39, I have 1,550 pounds, 14.4 ounces. So I have 13 weeks to get another 440 pounds. I might do it. I might. Anyway, that'll still be 30 pounds. That'll average about 30 pounds a week, I think. And I might be able to do it. I might not be able to do it. I'm hoping that with Rick back on his feet and being able to, he still can't help me do anything. He's not allowed to lift, or, he's not supposed to lift more than 10 pounds. He's not supposed to bend over. He's not supposed to, he's not, he came home and was immediately disobeying all orders and, be good to me, take care of me, you do all the work, but I don't have to listen to anybody. I'm a man. So for those of you ladies out there, and for some of you men who might be looking in the mirror and go, oh gee, that's what I did with my wife. It's not easy. So with that, I will say I'm still running. I'm still trying to get his job, my job, and making sure that he's cared for. Lots of extra little meals. If you have part of your stomach removed, you can only eat small meals, but you have to eat more often. So I'm starting to say, you can make your own peanut butter sandwich. Just make a half for one. You can do this. Just do small. So that's our story. That's where we're going. This is the end of September. This is the 28th. And I can see my neighbors are ready for Halloween. Some of them are actually just putting up fall decorations, which, it's a little early for Thanksgiving. But I understand. Some people jump right ahead and it's autumn. The season is autumn. Why not just decorate for one time for autumn and then flip into Christmas? So if that's you, wonderful. Enjoy it. I'm noticing my big elm tree out there. I'm ready to do a front yard tour, but the elm tree has gone from being, I don't have any green here. Nope, I don't have anything green. But it's gone from being green to getting kind of a golden haze, like it's just starting to lose the green, and the red pigment that is in there is starting to show itself, the red and yellows. So I'll do an outside tour because it's starting to look pretty. Here in Florida we don't get that much golden leaves, red maples. I'll have to walk around and show you, because I'm a Pennsylvania girl, and I just remember walking to school. I always, first 8 grades of school was a Catholic school 3 blocks away, and we always walked. There was no stranger danger things. But the trees would just be magnificent, just magnificent. And I lived about close to a mile walk from Seton Hill College in Greensburg, for anybody in the area. And I mean, that was just up on a hill in a magnificent whole flowing, several acres, rolling down to highway level. And we thought was a big highway, but was, a 2-lane, and everything would turn, and it was very Thomas Kincaid picturesque, and it was a good way to grow up. I have to say, it was the innocence of the 1950s, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. But I do miss those leaves. So I'll try and get some pictures for you. Anyway, I hope everybody has a wonderful day and a wonderful Sunday. Remember, garden what you've got. I hope to see you next week. Take care, everyone. Take care. I love you, and God bless.